Hello there, friends. I'm Harold, and at 78, I've learned a thing or two about what truly matters in life. You know, turning 70 isn't the end of the road. It's actually when the most liberating chapter begins. Today, I'm sharing 12 things that simply don't make sense for women over 70. Insights I've gathered from my wife of 52 years and the remarkable women in my life who've taught me what wisdom really looks like. Stick around for number 12. It completely transformed how my wife Sarah sees herself, and it might just do the same for you. These aren't theories from some young expert who's never experienced a moment of joint pain or forgotten where they put their glasses. This is real-life wisdom from those who've actually walked this path. Before we dive in, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your city in the comments below, and if these insights resonate with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more authentic conversations about embracing our golden years. Now, let's talk about the first thing that doesn't make sense anymore, and it might surprise you. 1. Chasing youth-based beauty standards. Let me tell you something about beauty after 70 that the magazines won't. My wife Sarah spent decades buying expensive creams, promising to erase the years. One day, I found her staring at her reflection, frustrated after spending $89 on a tiny jar that promised the impossible. "Harold," she said, "I've spent thousands trying not to look like myself." That moment changed everything for us. The beauty industry makes billions by making women feel they need fixing. But here's what doctors actually say. Healthy skin comes from hydration, sun protection, and good sleep, not miracle products. Sarah now focuses on what makes her feel vibrant instead. She wears colors that brighten her eyes, comfortable clothes that let her move freely, and sometimes a bold lipstick just because it makes her smile. True beauty at our age isn't about looking younger. It's about looking alive and comfortable in your own skin. 2. Holding on to physical clutter. Our basement used to be what I jokingly called the museum of someday. Boxes of clothes that might fit again, gadgets we might use, papers we might need. Every time Sarah went down there, she'd come back looking overwhelmed. Researchers found that cluttered spaces actually increase stress hormones and make it harder to focus. For folks our age, this mental fog is something we just don't need more of. The turning point came when our granddaughter wanted to stay over, but we had no room because the guest room had become a storage unit. We spent a weekend sorting through things, and I watched Sarah hold her mother's china set that had been boxed up for 22 years. "I've been keeping this for special occasions," she said, "but we're in our 70s now. If not now, when?" We started using a simple approach. First, ask, "Have I used this in the past year?" Second, "Does it bring me joy?" Third, "Would someone else benefit from this more than me?" Just these 3 questions helped us create space for what matters now. 3. Financial avoidance. Money talk isn't comfortable for many of us, but here's a sobering fact. Women over 65 are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty. After a lifetime of earning less and often taking time off to care for family, many women enter their 70s financially vulnerable. My sister-in-law Jean avoided looking at her finances for years after her husband passed. "It's too complicated," she'd say. Then came an unexpected roof repair that cost thousands, and suddenly, Jean was in real trouble. What turned things around wasn't winning the lottery. It was simply facing reality. We helped Jean create a simple financial snapshot. What comes in, what goes out, what she owes, and what she owns. She discovered she was spending hundreds monthly on subscriptions she rarely used. Start by gathering recent statements, making a list of monthly expenses, and considering talking with a financial advisor who specializes in seniors. Many community centers offer free financial workshops specifically for older adults. 4. Maintaining toxic relationships. After 78 years on this planet, I've learned that life is too short for relationships that drain your energy. My wife had a friend, let's call her Dorothy, who she'd known since college. Every lunch with Dorothy turned into hours of complaints and negativity. Sarah would come home exhausted, yet she kept these lunches on her calendar month after month. Research shows that negative relationships don't just affect our mood, they actually impact physical health. People with supportive relationships have better immune function and lower blood pressure. The turning point came when Sarah had to cancel lunch due to a minor surgery. Dorothy's response? Well, I guess I'll have to find someone else who cares about me. After 45 years of friendship, that was the moment Sarah realized this relationship had become one-sided. Ask yourself, after spending time with someone, do you feel better or worse? At this stage of life, you've earned the right to surround yourself with people who lift you up. 5. Fear of technology. I used to be the guy who proudly declared, "I don't need all these gadgets." My grandkids would roll their eyes when I'd ask them to print out directions instead of using GPS. I was convinced technology was making life more complicated, not simpler. Then the pandemic hit, and suddenly seeing our family meant learning to use video calls. I reluctantly let my daughter set up a tablet for us. The first time I saw my grandson's face light up on that screen, I realized technology wasn't my enemy. It was a bridge. For women over 70, technology offers remarkable benefits. Medical alert systems that can detect falls, grocery delivery apps that bring heavy items to your door, and video calls that keep you connected when mobility becomes challenging. Start small with one device or app that solves a real problem in your life. Most libraries offer free tech classes specifically designed for seniors. And don't be afraid to ask for help. I've found that people love being asked to share their knowledge. 6. Overcommitting your time. Time takes on a different value after 70. When my wife retired, her calendar quickly filled with volunteer commitments, grandchildren's activities, church committees, and social obligations. She was busier than when she was working full-time. One Wednesday, she had 3 different commitments scheduled for the same afternoon and broke down in tears. That was her wake-up call. We sat down with her calendar and had an honest conversation about what truly mattered at this stage of life. Was she saying yes out of genuine enthusiasm or out of habit and obligation? Sarah developed what she calls her joy filter, a simple question she asks before committing to anything. Will this add joy to my life or drain energy from it? This isn't selfish. It's recognizing that energy is a precious resource that needs careful allocation. Now Sarah's calendar reflects her priorities, not other people's expectations. Remember, every yes to something that doesn't matter is a no to something that might. 7. Neglecting health maintenance. Let me tell you about my wake-up call. I ignored a persistent pain in my knee, brushing it off as just getting older. By the time I finally saw a doctor, what could have been addressed with simple exercises had become a problem requiring surgery. That recovery took months away from activities I love, all because I didn't want to make a fuss about my health. For women over 70, regular health maintenance isn't about obsessing over every ache and pain. It's about protecting your independence and quality of life. Studies show that preventative care can add not just years to your life, but life to your years. Simple daily habits make the biggest difference. Staying hydrated, many symptoms we blame on age are actually dehydration. Getting adequate protein, crucial for maintaining muscle mass. Moving your body daily, even gentle walking counts. And prioritizing sleep when your body repairs itself. Think of health maintenance as self-respect, not self-indulgence. The goal isn't perfection, it's having the health and energy to enjoy this chapter of life fully. 8. Striving for perfection. The pursuit of perfection has followed many women throughout their lives. the spotless home, the flawless appearance, the perfectly balanced family and career. But at 70 plus, continuing this chase makes absolutely no sense. Sarah spent decades as the family's perfectionist. For our 50th anniversary, she insisted on planning every detail herself. The day of the celebration, she was so exhausted and anxious about everything being just right that she barely enjoyed the gathering. Our daughter captured a telling photo that day. Sarah adjusting a flower arrangement while our grandchildren played nearby, trying to get her attention. Later, when Sarah saw that photo, she realized what perfectionism had cost her: presence in the moment. Sarah now embraces what she calls good enough. The house doesn't need to be spotless for friends to come over. Dinner doesn't have to be elaborate to be enjoyable. What people remember isn't whether your napkins matched your tablecloth. It's how you made them feel. 9. Fighting battles that aren't yours. One of the hardest lessons for many women to learn is that not every conflict requires their intervention. My sister Martha spent decades as the family peacemaker, mediating disagreements between her adult children, smoothing tensions between relatives, and inserting herself into neighborhood disputes. The toll this took became clear when Martha's doctor warned her about her rising blood pressure. All those battles she was fighting, most of which weren't even hers to begin with, were literally affecting her health. I remember her telling me about a disagreement between her two daughters over holiday plans. Martha had spent hours on the phone with each, trying to negotiate a solution. When I asked her what would happen if she simply let them work it out themselves, she looked stunned. This isn't about not caring. It's about recognizing that jumping into every conflict often prevents others from developing their own problem-solving skills. Martha now tells her family, "I love you both, and I'm confident you'll find a solution that works." 10. Fearing new experiences. I'm too old to start something new. I've heard this phrase from so many women over 70, and each time I think of my friend Eleanor, who took up painting at 75. She'd never held a paintbrush before, but she kept at it because it brought her joy. 3 years later, Eleanor's paintings hang in a local gallery. Neuroscientists confirm what Eleanor discovered. Trying new things creates new neural pathways in the brain, actually helping to keep our minds sharp as we age. My wife was initially resistant when I suggested we take a ballroom dancing class. Harold will look foolish, she worried, but after the first lesson, she was glowing. I didn't know my body could still learn new movements, she said with wonder. New experiences don't have to be grand adventures. They might be trying a different cuisine, taking a different route on your daily walk, or learning a simple craft. You might surprise yourself with abilities you never knew you had. 11. Worrying about others' opinions. One of the greatest gifts of aging is the gradual fading of concern about what others think of you. Yet I'm amazed by how many women in their 70s and beyond still filter their choices through the lens of others' potential judgments. Researchers found that people who rely less on external validation report higher levels of life satisfaction. Think about that. Worrying less about others' opinions actually makes you happier. My sister-in-law Eleanor was always the proper one in the family. She dressed conservatively and always did what was expected. Then at 72, after her husband passed, something shifted. She sold their large house, bought a bright red convertible, and moved to a beach town where she knew no one. When family members expressed shock, she simply said, "I've spent 7 decades worrying about what other people think. I don't have time for that anymore." Next time you find yourself hesitating because of potential judgment, ask yourself, whose voice am I hearing right now? Is it really mine? At this stage of life, authenticity isn't just liberating, it's your right. 12. Fearing aging itself. Here we are at what I consider the most important insight of all, the fear of aging itself. Our culture has taught us to see aging as nothing but decline, loss, and irrelevance. We're bombarded with messages about anti-aging as if growing older were a disease to be fought rather than a privilege to be embraced. My wife's perspective shifted dramatically after a conversation with her 94-year-old aunt. This remarkable woman said, "I don't understand all this fuss about looking younger. Do you know how many people never got the chance to live this long? These wrinkles are my medals of survival." In many cultures around the world, aging is viewed completely differently. In Japan, there's a concept called korai that celebrates the beauty and wisdom of age. In parts of Africa, elders are considered the most valuable members of society precisely because of their accumulated wisdom. Aging isn't about losing who you were, it's about becoming more authentically who you were always meant to be. My friends, we've covered a lot of ground today, from beauty standards that no longer serve us to the freedom that comes with embracing this stage of life fully. If there's one thing I hope you take away, it's this. The years after 70 aren't about fading away. They're about standing more firmly in your truth. I'd love to hear which of these insights resonated most with you. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found value in our conversation today, please hit that subscribe button and share this video with a friend who might need these reminders too. Until next time, remember that your age isn't just a number. It's a badge of honor. Wear it proudly.